I had a premonition, Pete, that something terrible was going to happen just before we started this podcast.
Please tell me.
And the premonition was that at some point, the monthly movie marathon is going to die. And there's nothing we can do to stop it, Pete. There's nothing. Not even 5 films, not even a 6th film coming out to watch and talk about is going to stop the inevitable fact that this podcast is going to die.
I mean, death comes for us all.
Even if you're a podcast, an award-winning, hasn't happened, multi-million viewed, hasn't happened podcast.
That's the other...
To incredibly attractive, charismatic hosts.
That's the other premonition we've had. We're going to win something in the future for a podcast that doesn't exist anymore.
Imagine that, though. That would be pretty fun.
Like a
posthumous award for the monthly movie marathon.
Mm.
Not to start this episode on a dour note, everyone. Apologies. Welcome to the monthly movie marathon.
Yes, but we'll just preface this by saying this whole episode is going to be as Nick called it in the car, a celebration of death.
It very much is. This is like the happiest funeral you would have ever been to because for this episode of Monthly Movie Marathon, which, as I will point out right off the bat, if you listen to our Alto Nights episode, is the this is almost like the Fast Saga ending. This is
really
the
is.
First of 3 final episodes of the monthly movie
just
marathon.
When you think they're done, they pull you back in.
Right back
but we're actually finishing. We're actually
finishing up this show. And as we said on that show, it's serendipitous. It's apps that Final Destination Bloodlines and Mission Impossible The Final Reckoning are the last 2 movies we're going to cover. And today, with Final Destination Bloodlines coming out on May 15th.
Yes.
Pete and I really had to dig deep for this one. We really had to get a lot of motivation.
Oh, my God. Watching these 5 movies.
To go back on the Final Destination franchise, which, sarcasm, we fucking love these movies.
Love them to death.
We are horror fans. We are horror fans through and through.
Yes.
But even outside of this show, well, I don't even know if we brought it up on the show, but we have spoken to each other about Final Destination.
Yeah.
We covered Final Destination 3.
Yes.
On 0 to 100.
Yep.
Which criminally was in the rotten category, but we could not sing its praises highly enough.
Yep.
But Final Destination's Bloodlines is coming out.
Yeah.
We went back and watched Final Destination 2, Final Destination 3, the Final Destination, also known as Final Destination 4, and Final Destination 5. We have thoughts on all these films.
We do.
But as Pete said, this is a celebration of death today because in the gnarliest way possible, these are glorified death montages.
They really are.
In which some have some decent storylines.
A few of them do.
Some of them do. One of them definitely does not. But we still...
But what could it be?
Which one could it be? Before we talk about the films itself, what was the first Final Destination movie you saw?
Final Destination.
In
the cinemas.
Hell
at 15 years old.
Oh, you were the perfect age because it's MA15 here in Australia. So there we go.
I didn't need a parent to go see it.
Did you watch it with friends?
I did. There was a group of us growing up, and like horror was like our thing.
Yes,
like we saw this. Well, didn't see the first Scream in cinemas because I was too young then, but had parents take us to like Scream 2, Scream 3, Urban Legend, Cut. The Kylie Minogue horror movie.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I have not thought about that movie in years.
Yeah, saw that movie in the cinemas.
Holy shit. Yeah. Okay.
So Final Destination was like, and this was like peak because it was like, like Devon Sawa was coming off of like being the kid in like Casper Now and Then, but they hadn't done like Idle Hands before. Idle Hands. Underrated as fuck.
Very good movie.
Like Kerr Smith, everyone knew from Dawson's Creek.
Yep.
Ali Larter was coming off of Varsity Blues, which I think was a sexual awakening to many kids of her in the whipped cream bikini.
Probably would have, yeah.
There were other people in Varsity Blues that took my interest.
Mr. No,
Scotty Kahn.
Scott Kahn.
Scott Kahn. And
What's he up to these days?
He's in a TV show now.
Okay.
But
he's doing okay.
There's a scene with Scott Kahn in nothing but a cowboy hat that I was like,
okay. You're like, hello.
I was like, that's what that can look like. All right. But yeah, and like, this is one of those things. The beauty of the internet not being just rampant with spoilers.
Sure.
Went into Final Destination knowing very little.
Okay.
Knowing it was like
A horror movie.
had like a slasher mentality.
Yes.
But no masked killer.
But no physical iteration of
Yeah.
the person killing.
But it was-
death is the villain
Yeah.
in the Final Destination.
and it
films.
was doing the thing that all of the horror movies at that point was doing. It was like it was casting hot people, up and comers,
hot teens to early
20s who could believably play teenagers.
Exactly. Yes.
You know, the posters was like the heads of them all together. Like it looked like
cool because it was also like sometimes half face, half
yeah.
skull as well. Because you're like, ooh, what is?
So it was
for these
playing
guys?
into
Yeah,
the
yeah.
fact that like
Big fan of that. Big fan of that.
and like we keep like Scream just completely reignited that side of things.
Right.
So Final Destination was like tapping into that, but then was like, but we're going to do things a little bit differently. It was also, this was like a rejected X-Files plot.
I did know that. I did end up reading that.
Yeah.
Which when you break down the film and the idea of it and take away the fact that they turned it into an R-rated
Horror
well,
movie.
I would say gore fest, but it doesn't really become too gory till later on. But it's still impactful.
Final Destination still had like, has impactful death scenes and
Yes.
kind of things where you go, ooh, but like, it probably wasn't until 2 and then 3.
hyped it up a lot.
Yeah.
And then 4 and 5 do
just
their
went-
own thing.
Yeah.
But I can see what you mean. Like the core of the premise is very X-Files.
Well, because I
time.
think the original premise was just the fact that someone had premonition that people were going to die,
right,
And they
was trying to
were
stop
going to
it.
try to figure that. And I was
Sure.
like, that's a great little story in itself.
Yeah.
And then like James Wong and Glenn Morgan and Jeffrey Riddick, who were like the directors and writers of this, then just amplified it, enhanced it, turned it into a banger 100-minute movie that, like, again, this was like this was no IP.
No, yeah.
This was like
This is
an
original
original horror movie, and it turned itself into this bonza series.
Behemoth franchise.
That for about 11 years was like consistently knocking out sequels.
Yes, yeah. And then now there's
And
been
then
about a
14-year break.
gap.
Yeah.
Between 5 and Bloodlines, which is the 6th film that is coming out.
Yeah.
From there. My first time watching it was Final Destination 2.
Right.
Because Final Destination in our friend group at school was like the perfect sleepover movie.
Right. Yeah.
Saw it on DVD. Obviously, I was aware of it. I knew of it. I think I was like maybe 13 or 14 when we watched it. But I had a mate who was like, we need to watch this. Like, the opening scene of this movie
Of
is
2.
fucking crazy.
Yeah.
If you are a fan or know of the franchise, Final Destination 2, and we'll talk about it more when we get there, has arguably the most iconic scene in the franchise.
In the franchise, we will talk about it.
Yeah.
Closer, but just in cinema in general, this sequence is actually like spectacularly put together.
Incredible. Like one of the best car accident, highway crash scenes
I think like
of all time.
I know I've heard Tarantino say that he thinks it's like an absolute like marvel of cinema.
And you're not going to deny Tarantino's
like he has said it's so like technically amazing.
Outstanding, right?
And and you just go, it really is like
truly phenomenal.
And you just like, you can take it out of being in however you feel about Final Destination 2 as a film. Yes. You can't deny how masterful that whole thing is executed.
Is truly incredible. Yeah. So that was my first venture into this.
What was your first Final Destination movie in the cinemas? Or have you seen any?
I saw none of them at the cinemas.
None of them in the cinemas?
No, obviously 2007, I was 12, so I couldn't see 3. 2009, I was 14, and that one was R18.
It was, yeah.
And I think Final Destination 5, like I wasn't going to the movies as much.
Right, okay.
Like I was 16 then.
So you could have seen it,
but I did watch it when it came out. I could have seen it, but I just don't think I did.
Right.
But I vividly remember when it came out at Blockbuster because we had a Blu-ray 3D section.
Yes.
And
oh my
Final
god.
Destination 5
the Blu-ray 3D
was in our Blu-ray 3D section along with the Final Destination as well, which we will talk about the 3D-ness of those films.
Yes, we will.
But obviously both fans of the franchise.
Oh,
that goes without saying.
Huge.
So we'll crack right into it. So 2000's Final Destination.
Yeah.
40% critic score, 68% audience score. So audiences are fans of this.
I don't agree with 40%, but I can understand 40%.
I don't disagree with it. As well.
and like rewatching it, I was like, this is a competently made film.
And do you know what? I'm just looking quickly now, the critics' reviews that are going up more recently, skewing positive.
Yeah, I think it is
far lower than 40.
Yeah, I think it is. It has
kicked in, right?
Oh, and there's massive hype for Bloodlines.
Rightfully so.
Yeah.
Because it looks cool. The premise of it looks cool. We'll discuss it at the end. It looks fucking great. But obviously, so it's setting up this whole, not just a franchise, but this idea that Devon Sawa's character, Alex, has a premonition that the plane that he's getting on, this school group that's going to France, the plane is going to explode.
Yes.
And we see his premonition, which is an incredible thing to not just a bold way to open your movie, which is an awesome plane crash sequence, seeing people, I say awesome, and then I was about to go straight into
seeing
people burned alive, people ripped in half, people sucked out of airplanes. For a death scene, for a montage of death, it's very well structured and very well shot.
Especially when for seeing the film for the first time, you're also quite taken aback by the fact that 17 minutes into this film, when you've actually gotten to know, they do a really good job of getting you to know each character dynamic,
very Scream-like as well. The relationships
you've
of
got
the people
you've
actually
got certain
matter.
friends, you've got enemies, you've got boyfriend girlfriend, you've got the outsider, you've got that sort of stuff. And you're like, oh, I'm actually starting to get to know these people. I'm invested. And then they all die.
They all die. And you're like, holy shit.
But then
it's
a premonition. Devon Sawa, and then it does the That's So Raven thing where he goes back.
He goes and then the things that he saw in his premonition start happening in the lead up to the death, because that's something the Final Destination series does incredibly well.
Yeah.
The build-ups to death are brilliant. Across all the films, it's pretty fucking good, to be honest.
And it's like, I see it only in the first film, but and I can understand kind of why they started to skewer away from
right?
it. But the first film, in two of the death scenes specifically, you get the black cloud kind of a death, and one scene, the water trickles back sort of thing. The first film kind of almost played it with death felt as
more
character,
as a character.
In the first film,
not just coincidental events. Death was in the room.
Yes,
kind of vibe
it's not a bad thing at all. It's just funny seeing how they almost were
the water in the cloud bit is that's so funny.
And the water
that's
disappearing. It's kind of that's to then really play up to the fact that a certain character looked like they died by suicide.
Yes,
but I kind of like that. As the films went on, they just went, well, we're just going to do it more it's just an accident that happened.
Totally, yeah.
But it was funny watching that, just going, oh, that's...
In which the films that come next are just no, they're just... it doesn't matter how it happens. They're just going to fucking gruesomely die.
Yeah,
so,
we really want to put our characters through it.
Oh, big time.
There is a real mean streak to these films.
Oh, they are nasty.
But then it's funny how most of them you kind of have a chuckle as well.
They're fun though. It wears the self-awareness of being we are just mercilessly killing people in fucked up ways on its sleeve.
Although I find the first film is probably the most serious.
The first film is taking the premise most seriously because it's almost like a paranoid thriller.
And it also it didn't know that it was going to become a series.
God, no.
It plays it like...
Do you know what it is? It's the Saw effect.
Yeah.
Saw 1 is this sort of masterful, tense thriller about two men trying to figure out who their killer is.
And very self-contained.
Very self-contained.
We could
very
just
much
have...
Final Destination.
Yeah, we could just have Final Destination and we didn't need...
No.
But I'm very glad we got sequels.
Oh, I'm so happy.
But Final Destination was not built as a film to then go, we're going to leave it on a cliffhanger. We're going to get more films. They left it like kind of very. I mean, it is open ended in a way.
Well, the open-endedness though is life. Is that even when you die,
Yeah.
death continues
Yeah.
to take souls,
Yeah.
basically, right?
Yeah.
It's not that story has ended,
Yeah.
but the idea of death being around and taking
Yeah.
his souls is still there.
Yeah.
And with the Saw effect, it's very much like you have to go bigger and bolder. And as for lack of a better phrase, the torture porn genre became bigger and bigger. Because like the Final Destination films, especially like the later sequels and the Saw sequels, all sort of like grew up together, I guess. So there was this hunger for disgustingly gory cinema. I think we spoke about it in the Lee Winnell episode. It's like there was a hunger for this in the early 2000s. So then Final Destination was like, well, we've got this premise where death is coming for everyone. Let's go absolutely bonkers.
Yeah, like I think like Final Destination 2 came out sort of the year before we got Saw.
2003, I believe, yeah.
But like, yeah, you'd say Final Destination 3 and 4, which are the ones that really went for gore. They were coming out at the same time as Saw. They were coming at the same time. You had Hostel. You had like the Hills Have Eyes.
Yep. The
Hitcher remake.
Train,
yeah, you had all of these like movies that were like
the slasher films, the slasher style of films that were very much exacerbating their gore and their blood. They were trying, like I said, they were mean. They were trying to be mean and nasty sort of movies. And Final Destination does go down that path, but I do think it wears more of its awareness that it is silly on its sleeve.
Yeah, I mean,
I appreciate that as well.
Yeah, and like even though the first film is as serious it is, the first film definitely has. To me, it has one death scene that absolutely was like, oh, we're gonna like kick you in the face and make you kind of laugh at just how shocking we can be.
Ridiculous it is. Yeah.
But maybe on that we should get to.
Well, let's do that because
death.
we for each of these films, we have picked 2 deaths each.
Yes.
One death that is like our favorite. What we think is the best death scene.
The best set piece.
The most exciting, but also the death that we would most hate to happen to us.
Yeah.
Because there are very much so cringeworthy deaths in this film that I watched. I was like, I would hate that to happen to me.
Yeah.
And then I said, Pete, we need to pick the ones that we would hate as
Yeah.
well. So you're gonna talk about your favorite, are you? Is this or the one that you hate the most? Is that what you were
fun? I was just saying we should just talk about death in
Oh, we can talk about death.
In context of the film, obviously.
Oh, sure. Yeah, totally. Hang up the phone on my therapist.
Because I was going to say, the death scene that I think is the funniest in Final Destination is Terry getting hit by the bus.
Very funny.
Because it literally comes out of nowhere. She's mid-sentence.
Mid-sentence, and after a film where all these elaborate setups for death has happened, it's just like she gets hit by a bus. And it's very funny.
And a a funny thing that I heard about it was because, so at that point we've had quite a shocking death.
Yeah.
Hers is just like, she's going to walk, she's going to stand in the road and she's just going to get fucking smacked down by a bus.
Yeah.
Because that scene took test audiences completely by surprise.
Oh, wow.
You'll notice after it cuts to Alex Devon Sauer putting like a oh my god.
I'm trying to remember.
Oh my god,
happens.
what's the word? Like a
Yeah.
headache pill in the cup.
Oh, the Advil.
Advil.
Yeah.
Putting that in the cup and letting it fizz up.
Right.
They linger on that shot
Yeah.
because they needed audiences to reset themselves.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you'll
That's
see it.
very
He puts it in
interesting.
the cup. You see it fizzing, and you see him like kind of leaning forward to take
Moseying
like
on over
it.
for it.
It
Yeah.
really wants you to just get your breath
You're like,
back
oh.
before it gives you another piece of like valid information.
Sure.
And I was like, that's actually like a good idea.
That's very interesting.
Because I remember that scene scared the
Oh, it's a good jump scare. No, it's a good jump
shocked
scare.
me as a 16.
Well, it's a jump scare too,
because you're not expecting
it's loud
it.
and it just happens out
Yeah.
of nowhere.
Yeah.
So, and it is funny though in comparison to the elaborate set pieces.
They were just like
bang, you just get hit by a bus.
Yeah.
Which hey,
yeah.
death ain't fucking around.
And like the thing that I like about Terry as a character is like you think she's kind of going to be set up to be this like bitchy blonde girlfriend because her boyfriend is like the stereotypical douche.
The douchebag.
She's actually like a really nice character.
Yeah.
And she's actually really like smart. She's just like, we need to stop thing. She's like, stop fighting about this. She's like, they lived, we died. Like, we need to get on it for it. And then she's just like, and if you want to keep beating the shit out of him, then you can just drop fucking dead. Bang. Amazing.
Which brings up a circling back to what you said earlier about how the opening of this film sets up and invests in the characters.
Yeah.
You need that because the ones who follow Alex off the plane, because he obviously has a meltdown, gets kicked off the plane, and some people come with him.
Yeah.
And then they survive the explosion because the plane still explodes, but they're just not on it.
Yeah.
And then death comes from them. Those dynamics are so needed because like these are people who are not necessarily all in the same friend group.
Yeah.
But they're all like, what the fuck happens
And now we're
And then
kind
they
of
start dying.
we're now tethered together.
They're tethered together.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. I think the dynamics there work really well.
Yeah.
Is the bus, would you say that's like your favorite kill or the best kill from the one that stands out?
It stands out. To me, I think the best. There's two set. I think the set piece that I kind of enjoy the most is Miss Luton.
Yes. Okay.
Because it's just kind of so like, what else could possibly go wrong for this woman?
Yes. Yeah. And you feel
really bad for her because she's like the teacher that got off the plane.
Yeah.
Her colleagues died. Her students died.
And then
she's like, I'm convinced that Alex wants to kill me.
Yeah.
And you know, like when you hear that 2 people have already died, and she's like, I'm getting the fuck out of this town.
And then Alex is also outside her house.
And she's like, oh my God. So the setup is, you know, she pours a thing of tea, coffee.
Yeah.
The cup, she sees the school logo and like freaks out.
Yeah.
And she's like, just stop it. It's a mug. And then she goes to like, you know what? Vodka will work.
Yeah.
And I really like that this is a thing that can actually happen.
Yeah.
Where you pour a cold drink into a hot glass and it can crack it.
Yes, it can. Yeah.
Yeah, so it cracks it. She's walking. She drips over a computer. Computer gets liquid in it.
Yep.
It then explodes,
her
spits a piece of glass into her neck. She's running around, pulling out this glass, blood everywhere, blood and alcohol mixing. Then goes to the kitchen, sets the
gas
on fire, light, stove, fire, water, blood, vodka. Explosion. Then in her like haste of trying to like figure out what to do, she's looking for a rag to fix her neck. The rag is on top of knives. She pulls it down. The knives impale her. Then she's still slightly alive. Yeah. Alex comes in to save her. Another explosion. The chair then hits the knife. Going into her stomach. Chest, she's completely dead. Then she's eviscerated in a house fire. Like, wow.
That is also my favorite set piece because it is just so... It's not the fact that it happens to a nice person. It's just like, let her die.
Yeah.
Let her fucking die.
Yeah.
We all need a drink sometimes. And she paid the ultimate price for it.
And she has a valid reason to drink. She's like, everybody I know is dead.
Don't spill vodka into your Macintosh and you'll be okay.
Yeah.
My God.
Yeah. But I think we both have the same thing for how we don't want to die.
The one that I would hate the most,
Todd.
Yes.
Yeah. That one's
rough.
Even
that one
rewatching it,
rough.
it's so awful.
It's not nice. It's not nice at all. And it's just one where like hanging in general icks me. Like I'm not a fan of hanging. But it's just the fact that it's the bathtub and the wet floor and the feet like not being able to. We recently watched Clown in a Cornfield, and towards the end there's a character who's getting hung by his neck and his toes are on a car.
Yeah.
And the car's moving, and you're like, oh, but he can still kind of
touch
do
it.
that.
Yeah.
The water and the bath, and because I've slipped in a shower before, when I was a kid, like I'm totally, guys, I'm fine, I'm okay. I slipped in a shower, and the scar that's on This one? No, this on this eyelid here. I got scars over both eyes from 2 different accidents, which is hilarious. I've got a scar on my eyelid from it. Yeah, I slipped on a wet towel and hit the sink.
Oh.
And for like 4 days, like my eye was black. It was fucked. Anyway, it wasn't a hanging. So that was, I think for me, when I see that, I'm like, I slipped that like that tiny bit of trauma in the back of my head. I'm like, I don't want that to happen to me.
Yeah.
But it's a rough scene to watch.
a rough scene to watch because like, but I mean, and I remember watching that scene first in the cinema and like, you know, he walks to the sink, the water's like following him and you're like, oh my God, he's going to slip and his head's going to hit the sink.
Yeah.
Then he takes out he shaves his neck and you're like, oh my God, he's going to slip and he's going to slit his throat. Yeah. Then he's cutting his nose hairs and I was like, I was like, that fucking scissors are going to go up his nose. Like, then he just, it's just the thing that you least expect in that scene.
It's 100%, 100%.
You know, he like trips, the clothes hanger goes around his neck and it's just, and then I think the thing that really caps it off is like, it's pulling it so tight that his eyes get bloodshot. Yeah.
And that's why we hate it.
But then it also brings up something that I think this film does really well with like the relationships where, you know, the dad of Todd has already lost one of his sons in the explosion.
Yes. Yeah, true.
So now he's like, the only son I've got left is Todd, and I don't want Todd hanging out with Alex because I still believe that Alex had something to do with the plane.
Responsible for this. Yeah.
And I really like, there's a scene where they're talking about like, you know, it's like when my dad calms down, like you and I will hang out together.
Yeah.
Rewatching that now, it really seems like they both accept the fact that they'll never be friends again.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the other thing that this one specifically, and somewhat in Final Destination 2 does. It's like the genuine ramifications of like death on people and the grief that people go through. And if you feel like someone, which in this film it's Alex, is responsible for it, and they feel like it is anyway, that ruins friendships.
Yeah,
and that ruins relationships, and that's why this one feels more serious.
Yeah,
and is probably like the saddest, but not the meanest.
No,
Like, it just becomes
I know.
mean
I think it is the saddest one because you're invested in these people, and like Alex and Todd are genuine friends. And the fact that he's just like then Alex is like, he's not going to kill himself. Like he was waiting until you were better. Like why would he kill himself? Like you're always it's really quite heartbreaking.
So, and I think that's probably adds into a little bit of like the one you would hate to happen the most to you because like it's the one that is the most trivially accidental.
And because then they say because of the way it looks, they're like he committed suicide.
Yeah, so
those parents go through their life thinking their son
died in a plane crash,
their son committed suicide,
and their other son committed suicide.
Yeah, it's
heartbreaking.
It's really heartbreaking.
Heartbreaking shit. Yeah. So, what I also
what a fun episode.
We love this. I love as well, before we move on to Final Destination 2, is that this movie does not give you a happy ending.
No, it doesn't.
Everyone dies.
You think it's going to.
Because they get to France because they've broken Death's curse.
Because they figure out this breaking Death's design is they think if you're meant to die, but you either kill someone else.
Yep.
Or you kill the person.
It's like a soul for a soul.
Basically,
sort of thing,
you
right?
kill the person that's meant to die after you before.
Yeah.
Then it kind of skips you.
Might skip you, yeah.
And then you should be free to like live out your days.
You ultimately like buy a life.
Later on, Final Destination 5 brings a whole new meaning to this thing.
Hugely.
Which I was like, that's really actually really cool.
Really likes that. Also, shout out Tony Todd. That's why. Tony Todd. Rest in peace, Tony Todd, who is in Bloodlines. He did film Bloodlines.
Yeah, I'm very happy that he got to
finish. But he is very much like the arbiter of the rules throughout the franchise, and he's so fucking good in this. And he's a mortician.
And he's creepy
That's the best.
Fuck.
They took what would have been the traditional detective role. And like, let's make him a fucking mortician who is obsessed with
give him Tony Todd's like gravelly,
so good.
booming voice.
And sometimes, and most of them, he just pops up for a scene and he just looks at it and he's like, death.
It's just, it's just enough for you to be like, what the fuck, man?
And I'm like, that is the scariest shit ever. Yeah. So,
and then he goes, and for some of you, I'll see you soon. And you're like, that's terrifying.
Creepy as fuck, Tony Todd, but goddamn, we love you. But yeah, I mean, massive success, spawned the franchise, $23 million budget, $112 million worldwide. Made 5 times its budget, basically. Like, it is a bona fide fucking hit.
Great success.
Then we get Final Destination 2, which came out in 2003.
3 years later.
On Rotten Tomatoes, 52% for critics, so it's higher.
Yeah.
58 for audiences.
Oh.
Shocked because
This
is my favorite one.
And this movie seems to have the most, like, you hear anybody say, "Oh, you see that massive log truck on the road? Final Destination."
Well, I have sent photos of me in traffic behind a log truck going like, "Rest in peace, me." It is a cultural
people
phenomenon.
know. You see a log truck, you move the fuck out of the way. Why aren't you driving behind it? Final Destination 2. That's why. That is very surprising to me that it's that low.
I was genuinely shocked by that. So
critics, I get it because
audiences
rewatching this, I was like, yeah, the dialogue's not great.
No, not at all. And it's one of those ones where the set pieces are probably better than the story. Like, this is the first film. This is the first Final Destination, and the trend continues on from here, where they try and replicate elements of the first film's premise and story, but it ultimately is like 90% of this movie is going to be elaborate death, we're going to piece it all together with a narrative.
I did like that as a sequel, Final Destination 2 did just go, we're not going to rehash the first one.
No,
we're not going to do like,
especially the premise side of things.
Yeah,
it's not.
Like
totally.
we're not going to just like it feels very different.
Yes, big time.
And I still like the fact that for this film, something that we lose for a few films is that as big and as grand and as gory as the set pieces are, we still actually get a lot of character interaction in between.
Big time.
So these characters that we are like, you're probably going to die, they do still actually interact with one another.
Yeah, because
they're not just there primarily to have a death scene.
This one is far more of so whereas like Final Destination 1 is like a paranoia thriller of them being like, what the fuck's going on? 2 becomes like an investigative thriller.
Yeah.
And she's trying to put together AJ Cook, who plays Kimberly in this.
Yeah.
Kimberly
is like
Corman, the main character. Do you reckon that's a Roger Corman?
It is, yeah. Which is the same way. We'll just quickly go back in the first film. Sean William Scott.
Oh, but yeah, holy shit,
who at that point was known as like Stifler, and then plays like the geeky kid and does it really, really well. His name is Billy Hitchcock.
There we go.
So a lot of these films, they have sort of things peppered throughout. Like,
interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fun.
And then this film, Tim and Nora, the mother-son duo, their last name is Carpenter.
There we go.
Yeah.
After John himself.
Yeah.
This one's a much more investigative thriller because Ali Larter survives.
Yes, she's
Final Destination.
The interestingly named Clear Rivers.
Clear Rivers. True,
She survived the first film basically by voluntarily putting herself in a
mental asylum,
psychiatric hospital where nothing can touch her.
Solitary confinement with like the padded walls and stuff, and it's one of those ones where it goes like, you cannot bring pens.
Yeah, if you visit her, your nails can't be sharp.
Yeah,
anything on your person that can possibly pop off or do anything, nothing can be.
Exactly. So she is pretty much like death proofing her life. As much as possible, which we were talking about the other day. Would you want that though? Like you are going to have to live the rest of your days in the same.
I love how this gives you an indication as to what Nick and I talk about.
I would be like, probably after maybe like 6 months. I'm like, just kill me. I would be so
it would be because it's like you're stronger than you're resigning yourself to a life of like no interaction. And you're like, the whole point of living is to live, like to be, just be. So yeah, like I get the mentality,
right? Yeah,
and like obviously Clea has the thing is though, she's not really friends with anybody in the first film.
No, she's the
and she says, and they say, you're not friends with anybody. Why did you get off the plane? And she's like, I believed Alex.
Yeah,
and she really starts to like, I really believe Alex because she sees it all happen. So then at the end of the first film, her and Alex are like a couple.
Yes.
And they're friends with Carter, who was their nemesis the entire film.
Yeah.
And we know that Carter dies at the end of the first film. He gets hit by a big sign. So initially there was talk that they were going to bring back both Devon Sawa and Ali Larter. I don't know why Devon Sawa couldn't.
Okay.
But they ultimately, there is it's a news article
that kills him off.
That we briefly, it's briefly somewhere in the film.
It's a news report, I'm pretty sure.
And I'll just quickly say, that is one thing that I think the Final Destination films do really well, is that when it's like articles on computer screens, when it's newspaper articles, there are actually like legitimately written articles about these people dying in this universe. Like they do a really good job of like building a world of where someone dies and they do a newspaper article.
Which is cool, which is very fun. Yeah.
But you read about the fact that Alex is killed by like a rogue brick.
Yes, yeah.
Like
hit on the head by a brick.
Hit on the head by a brick. And that was kind of the final straw for Clea.
Where she puts herself into the...
but yeah, we were talking about like what would be the point, and eventually you would probably just go...
like, she is trying to figure out
she's trying
to break Death's curse in that way.
Yeah.
And that's when Kimberly comes in
Kimberly
and
has,
they work together.
And Kimberly has the premonition.
The highway
scene. So she and her...
We get cars flipping, cars blowing up. The log truck, obviously, a massive log comes detached and goes through the windshield of a cop car and fucking eviscerates his body.
Yeah.
The oil tanker the fuel truck that explodes and incinerates
another
people.
person falls off their motorbike, slips on the road, hits a giant log, and then the bike slams into him.
So that means he's come off the bike faster than the bike's moving, but then he gets ultimately crushed to death. Yeah. It's brutal. Wild. It's brutal, but it is truly like a technical marvel.
You are watching it and it's like there is obviously CGI, but very little CGI. The cars are like they're all legitimately. That's a legitimate car crash.
Why I think it is so renowned and still talked about today is the fact that there is so much chaos happening in this one car crash.
Yeah.
It is so well directed and edited together that you never feel lost in the scene.
You see each...
It's truly a masterpiece of chaos.
As Kimberly's driving, so she's with her friends, they're going to like Daytona, it's like spring break.
Yeah.
And her friends are all sort of the typical,
the college girls going to woohoo.
And as they're driving, there's just... And it's all the little signs leading up to it. It's like she sees a car about saying drink responsibly and he's drinking.
Yeah.
There's like a little kid who's got two toy cars and he's smashing them together.
I'm not going to say this is like a cancel me thing, but sometimes kid death in films is okay, and that's just one kid. I looked at him and I was like, "We look like a mean son of a bitch."
We don't see his death. You assume he's part of the wreckage.
I was assuming very much so.
No. Then
he looks like a mean kid. He looks like a piece of shit kid.
And then you have like the high schoolers all going pile up.
Yeah,
she goes on the radio and it's Highway to Hell, and she's like, "What?"
Great song, great pick. Music, the songs do play a big part of the
she's like, she sees everything. She's like, this is weird, but like not thinking anything of it. Then obviously we get the scene. Yeah. And then it turns out again, all a premonition. And she basically then turns off the road and like blocks
traffic.
Everyone that would have driven in with her.
The crash still happens, of course.
The crash still happens.
As death does its thing, but there are a multitude of characters who are now alive because of it.
But this time, because we learn that the order that people die in the premonition is the order that they will then be knocked off.
Yes.
This time around, the people that die last die first.
So then you start going, what are the rules?
Yes. So when she goes to Clea and she's like, I don't understand what you're talking about. She's like, me and my friends were meant to die last and all of my friends died first because the car gets hit. And that's when Clea's like, okay. She's like, death is like basically looping back around and like really tying off this film, this group. and the last
film.
group.
Yeah,
and
it's
you're
like
like,
a
but everyone's
connected
dead
group
from
of
the last group. And you're like, but, and what I think is probably one of the best scenes in the film is when you
Yes.
realize everyone in Final Destination 2 would have died had the plane not exploded.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
Which is cool. Like this connected universe of death and the way they string it all together.
Yeah.
Is far more. I hate using that word like elevated, but it's far more heightened than this like sort of movie normally would have.
Yeah.
So you kind of sit in there going like, okay, that's a fun twist.
Like it's
on
got
it all.
it's like, oh, that's actually like you got a little bit of intelligence here.
It's a cool reveal
for a film
in the
that's really just like, let's just kill a bunch of hot people.
Which in fairness, Final Destination 2 is. It is predominantly a death montage. With these huge set pieces.
Yeah.
Massive set pieces.
Yeah.
The crash is my favorite. I know most of it's a premonition, so I'm cheating on our own things. People still die because of it, but
it's so well done.
Say the crash is the best
it's
scene
just
in the film.
it's so
good.
impeccably done.
What would be the one you would hate to happen to you? I have two, so I'm going to see what you say. And
well, the one that I would hate to have happen to me is Miss Nora in the elevator.
In the elevator, that was one of mine. It's the hair pulling for me.
So
it's the hair pulling.
We'll preface this by saying her son, 15-year-old Tim, who goes to the dentist. That scene in itself is
terrifying. Because the dentist is terrifying.
He then walks outside, and a big plane of glass is accidentally released from its clutches and just flattens the kid. His body, like he just bends in half.
It's a great shot.
It's a great
whether
shot.
it was done digitally or prosthetics, I don't know.
It is. People have slowed it down, and there's like just before it hits him on the head, they basically swap out to a dummy.
That's awesome.
But it's incredibly done. So she's like, my husband died a few years ago. Now my son is dead. She's like, I basically accept the fact that I will die. When she says, if God's plan is for me to be in heaven with my family, I was like,
that's
fuck.
It's the Miss Luton thing again, right?
Yeah. So at this point in the film, Kimberly's basically been like, they figured out Death's design.
Yes.
And she's like, I'm going to give you all cell phones and I will call you because Kimberly's starting to see visions. And she's like,
that's the thing. She starts having more frequent vision, which becomes a thing later
in a lot of the
later
films.
as well. Yeah.
So she's like, look, if I say something like subway, she's like, I want you to get to a high rise because it's someplace a subway could never go.
Yes.
She's like, I just want you to get out of the way. And
Totally.
and they go, and she's like, and you might all see signs as well. If you see something weird, if you see something, say something. So then another one of the miscreants of the group. He sees a shadow that looks like a man with hooks for hands. And as Nora gets into an elevator, there is a man standing with a box of prosthetic limbs,
hooks
one that has a hook. That's creepy as fuck.
Because you wonder what he's doing with those.
He then sniffs her hair, and you're like, "You're weird.
You're gross. I don't like."
So then, when they ring and they say, "Man with hooks," and she's like, "Holy shit! I'm in an elevator with a man with hooks."
Yeah.
She goes to get out.
To beeline it. Yeah.
Her hair gets clipped on a hook, which means she's already like trapped. We know that the elevators, the sensors aren't working.
Yep.
So she tries to get out. Her head gets turned around as she's trying to get out, and the elevator doors slam on her head.
Yep.
And because the sensors aren't working, they don't think anything's there, and it starts going up. Now, as a kid, I had a massive fear of elevators.
Sure. Completely justified.
I was stuck in one, and it's fucking terrifying. I've gotten over it because I'm like, I have to take elevators for a lot of things. But
elevators are generally these days pretty safe.
But that scene was terrifying. Then it's the fact that her head is squished between a door. The elevator is rising, so her head is getting pushed against whatever the next level is.
Yep.
It can't go any further.
Yep.
So it just keeps pushing and pushing and pushing until her fucking head comes off.
Rips off her body. And it's not like decapitation.
No.
It's ripped off her body.
So that whole scene of her is like her hair is caught getting pulled and she would feel the pressure of her head popping off of her body. It is the worst way to die in this film, to me. It's awful.
It's on my list.
And it happens to a really, really nice person. Yeah. Like she's arguably the nicest of that group.
Yeah.
Apart from Kimberly and the cop. It's awful.
That's made me feel sick.
What's yours, Nick?
I had that one.
Yeah.
Mine was also the hospital suffocation.
Oh, yeah.
That
Okay.
is just brutal.
Yeah.
For me, suffocation is like
that's
my
pretty
elevators
big.
in a way as well.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
just like, that is gross and I don't want to do that. And just the idea that you're just there and you cannot control the oxygen that's going into your body.
Yeah.
And it's just slowly sucking it out of you. Yeah. And it's just the idea that,
Yeah.
painful and I don't like it.
It's painful and I don't like it.
I don't like it, okay? I'm putting my foot down and telling you I don't bloody like it. That's how I feel about that one there. But the set pieces step it up a huge level in this, and it's super exciting. Yes.
I will say, the car accident is obviously
iconic.
peak.
Yeah.
I will say another set piece in the film that I do actually like is the whole thing around when two people die within the car.
Yes.
Because you're not expecting two people to die within 30 seconds of each other.
No, God no.
And one of the characters, Kat,
Yeah.
I actually think, even though she's a bitch, I really fucking like her.
She's funny though. Yeah,
she gets some really, really good lines.
Some good lines in the film, for sure.
But yeah, like they're in a car accident and like a PVC pipe busts through the car.
Yeah.
And like goes near her head
Yeah.
and doesn't impale her. And you're sort of thinking like, oh, she survived that.
Yeah,
Great. Yeah. Ironically, as they're trying to get her out of the car, the paramedics use the jaws of life to get her out. When they bust into the car, they trigger the airbag. The airbag explodes in her face, pushing her head back and impaling her. So the thing that's meant to save her life kills her.
Killing her.
Then, in like a freaky chain reaction, she drops her cigarette.
Yeah.
Cigarette lands on a bunch of oil. Oil blows up. A fence then explodes and goes towards another character who then gets like chopped into three through the barbed wire.
It's gross.
It's
gross.
Almost
It's like that event horizon. Like laser thing.
And then you see his body
a
split
chain
open
fence.
and like you see like his intestines and everything.
Yeah.
Oh,
gory. They step up the gore in this one.
Yeah, and you're like, wow, you just killed two people
yeah.
within 30 seconds.
You know,
it's
the
great.
2 for 1 stuff.
I enjoy that set piece, but nothing tops the car sequence.
Nothing tops car sequence.
Yeah.
And I will say this is my favorite of the Final Destinations. I think this is my favorite one.
Okay.
Not yours.
It was, and then I rewatching a certain one, I was like, I think this is my favorite.
I think I know which one that one's going to be.
Yeah. But this is to me, this is the second highest.
Sure.
So afterwards, I will reveal. I'll reveal the 1 to 5 after.
Yeah, let's do that. Actually, that's a good idea. We'll do that.
Yeah.
Well, let's continue on then. Final Destination 3, which, as we said, we've spoke about recently on 0 to 100. So if you want extended thoughts, go listen
to that episode.
44%.
Yeah.
For critics, 57 for audiences.
Okay.
I kind of get it.
I kind of get it. This is one of those ones that like I don't think is remembered as much.
No, it was
not in a bad way.
The roller coaster scene, iconic. Like that's very memorable. But the actual film and the story itself is very.
This is where
bland.
This is where it starts to pretty much just go. Yeah. We'll introduce characters in the beginning, and then when they come back in the film, it's literally just to kill them.
To die.
Yeah.
I will say though, a lot of memorable deaths in this.
Oh,
a lot of memorable deaths.
One in particular we spoke about in detail about how horrific it is, but it also leads to a fantastic camera shot.
Let's talk about it because, like I said, the story. One thing I will give credit to this story before we do that is that the connection of Flight 180, which is the flight from the first one, throughout the series.
Yeah, throughout the whole all 5 films.
It's very well done. And I have to give kudos to the writers for making like a genuine, like decent world around.
180. The number is mentioned throughout, and then they often reference when the lead characters have their premonition and they're like, this has happened before.
Yeah.
They do reference the first film a lot, and then in Final Destination 3, do they reference the second one? I don't think they do.
I don't think they reference it, but they talk about Flight 180.
Well, they talk about Flight 180. Though, at one point, the lead character of this film, Wendy Christensen, played by Mary Elizabeth Winstead,
Winstead.
she was going to be Kimberly's cousin.
And they were gonna,
But then I think,
I like the detachment.
but I think if that was the case, you would be like, oh, I had a premonition like my cousin. Fuck, like she would immediately.
Totally
get into it, whereas this film, it takes a while for her to, which
I don't mind the anthology-esque sort of vibe about it, and then connecting it with the overall marching Flight 180 sort of vibe of it all. So that's what the credit I just wanted to give there. And this one leans far more into the gore, and the lead up to the deaths is far more elaborate.
Yeah,
this is one where
everything
you're spending minutes going like, what is going to happen? Not that. What's going to happen? Not that. What's going to
This is
the cock tease of all.
Yeah, this is a good this is a good edging movie.
This is an edging for
death. Death edges you, and you're like, and you're just like, fucking do it already.
Just kill them, please.
Yeah. Oh fuck! Just kill me.
Please, Final Destination, Daddy. Ooh. No wonder this show's ending.
You know who I think the Final Destination Daddy is?
Who?
Tony Todd.
I mean, that is Daddy. He is absolutely. He's Daddy Death.
Yeah, he's dead. Oh,
Tony Todd is Daddy Death. Oh my God. We'll talk about
why is the show ending?
Yeah, I was like, hold up a second. This is going strength to strength.
Yeah.
The best kill, which I think we both have the same one, is also the one that I put for my hate because it is just brutal. And that is the Solarium.
Yeah.
I gave a shout out to getting crushed by the weights.
I think my shout out would be the lead up to in the Home Depot store.
Oh, 100%.
Because that is like, because you're like, what the fuck's going to happen? But no, I think the best.
Home Depot is very much like the place where a Final Destination movie is like it's like a playground.
Yeah.
For sure. The Solarium.
The Solarium has the best, I guess, setup.
Yep.
It's absolutely excruciating.
Just burning alive in a solarium.
Burning alive, but just like, and not like, it's not being able to get out.
Getting locked in. So you're claustrophobic as well. You're burning, but not on fire, but like it's just hot.
Yeah.
And then
you see their skin start to like bubble.
And then it's so hot that the lighting tubes explode and then and impale you.
Yeah.
And then it gets hot enough that they blow up.
And that you fall further into the solarium as well. It's so bad. And they're both like basically naked. Yes. So it's like their whole.
Which in 2007 when I was watching this was great. I was like, this is gonna be the best scene ever. And then I went, I hate solariums now.
And we spoke about it on Funda and on 0 to 100, but we will say that this film was ahead of its time in terms of being respectful to its actresses because that was a closed set.
Yes, yeah. Which I mean is
in 2006.
2006 with a horror film.
They were just like the only people that were on set that day were the only people that needed to be on set that day.
Good.
And I was like, that's really, really good to hear that there were some quality people back
in the day.
Yeah.
But that is, I think that's just the best setup for it is the best death in the film, but it's the one that I would hate.
Oh, I would,
sure.
I would hate it.
For sure.
Yeah. Have you ever been in a solarium?
No.
No.
Fucking translucent. I look at the sun and I get burnt. Similar to the first Final Destination though as well, I like that it focuses, especially with the Ian character, which he is like the outsider and he's very angry about what's happening, about how the psychological effects of this whole situation.
Yeah, because
he is heartbroken and his partner is taken from him in the Home Depot scene.
He doesn't really believe it. He sort of thinks it's all a bit bullshit and he's kind of like almost like laughing at Wendy when she's like, you and your girlfriend are going to die. And he's like, oh, all right. Like, maybe this will happen. And then the girlfriend dies. And the girlfriend dies quite horrifically because she's still alive when you think she's dead.
Yes. Yeah.
She gets nails injected into her face and it's really bad.
Gross. It's gross. Then he's fucked up by that because that's the love of his life. And then he basically is like, well... wants to become death, basically.
Yeah, and he's like, you know what? He's like, why won't you sacrifice yourself, Wendy? Like, why won't you save people? That seems what you want to save everybody. Why don't you do it? And he's basically like, I can kill you. It's already skipped me.
Yep.
Like, what have I got to lose?
Yes.
what you've got to lose, Ian, is your life.
Your life, unfortunately.
Because it didn't actually skip you.
No. But like, I like that we finally get to see a character who's like so angered by it. And
Yeah.
it's a different take as
Which
well.
you would be.
But this is very much so. This to me is more the first movie again. Everyone's like, Wendy's crazy. And she's like, I'm not crazy. Like, I know this is happening.
The second film, even though they think she's a bit crazy, they
have the backing
they work with her.
They work with her, and when they find out about the Flight 180
and when
stuff,
when Clea comes in and she's like, actually believe
but
this
there's
shit.
no Clea for this film.
Yeah.
And so it's just like
we should say Clea dies in the second.
she does die in the second one. So yeah, it's very much a close rehash of the first one, just not done as well. Because by the time
they just bump up the gore.
They bump up the gore. The opening scene is again huge because they're just trying to keep one-upping the highway.
And we know that Nick doesn't like roller coasters.
So my biggest fear is roller coasters.
Yeah.
I hate roller coasters.
Yeah.
I've been on roller coasters.
Yeah.
I haven't enjoyed being on roller coasters. So watching this one is kind of like I'm good.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
Devil's Flight.
Yeah, of course. Why the fuck would you get on a roller coaster called Devil's Flight? You're asking for it at that point.
Like, there are some roller coasters I will do. There are others that I won't. Anything that goes super high and drops low or does a loop, I'm fucking out.
So like the Looney Tunes coaster at Movie World on the Gold Coast.
Have I been on that one?
I did, and that's my extent. That's for recommended.
I've been on Scooby Doo.
Yeah, I'm teetering on the edge of that one. Like the backwards bit. Nah, I'm good.
Yeah, oh, you wouldn't like the Mummy in the States because that literally goes and then just
Brilliant, love it, hate it.
Brilliant, love it, hate it. No, if I was like, Devil's Roller Coaster would not be a coaster that I would go on because it has a loop.
No.
But if I was walking towards it and I saw the things that Wendy sees when you actually see like the
thing
shake and like I would just be like, fuck that.
No.
I would actually go. I would actually pull my friends aside and go, do you see that shit?
It is not a well-maintained roller coaster.
No, it is not.
No, sorry, we're not jumping on that.
And
thank you.
Yeah, we would.
Death is not coming for us today.
It would not come for us today at all. Yeah.
But I do enjoy this film. Like,
it's a fun, easy watch.
No, it is the easiest to watch and enjoy.
Yes. Yeah.
Not what we can say about the Final Destination. Spoiler alert, the worst one in the series. This is
and ironically not the final. Oh, well, you know what?
Was it going to be at the time?
It was going to be at the time.
Right.
Okay. And I guess technically it is the final one within the 5 films.
That is a very good point.
So it is technically. We'll get to why. But yeah, the Final Destination.
The Final Destination. So that's 2009.
Yeah.
In the resurgence, not necessarily resurgence, but the emergence of 3D technology in a post-Avatar world.
Final Destination 3 was meant to be Final Destination 3D.
Yes, right.
And they decided not to do that. And and I'm glad that they didn't.
No,
but
it's
2009
not a movie that needed it, in my opinion.
You've got Avatar. You've got Captain America.
Yeah, First Avenger. Yeah.
I think the Avengers did 3D.
Avengers did do 3D.
Prometheus did 3D.
Everyone was doing 3D. And they said, what better thing to do than take the Death Montage movie and put all your favorite killings in 3 dimensions? That's exactly what they fucking
What I
did.
will say, one of the few positive things about Final Destination, I fucking love the opening credits to this film.
I agree. It is arguably the only redeeming factor of this movie.
It basically gives you all of the deaths that happen across the previous 3 films, but does it in this cool, like, 3D.
Actually, I'll say no. I'm going to take that back.
Oh, the Final Destination 5 has
my favorite. one, actually.
No, that has incredible opening credits.
Yes, but I know what you're saying.
At the time, the Final Destination used this really cool, like 3D graphic imprinty of all the death of like seeing like the nail, like
it's
like the X-rays. It's X-rays,
like the Mortal Kombat sort of fatality stuff. Yeah.
Of all of the deaths that have happened. I was like, that's kind of nice. And it's being like, oh, maybe we're in for like a real treat of a film.
We weren't.
And also, David R. Ellis, who directed Final Destination 2, directed this. And I was like, oh, man.
What a fall from grace. Because
also directed Cellular. Cellular's amazing. Great fucking film.
Fucking banger of a movie.
Banger of a movie.
That is funny that it was just literally right there. Because unfortunately,
yeah, we didn't actually. We didn't. That was not planned. That was there because of his Statham stack.
Do you know what else I didn't plan?
Final Destination right there. Boom.
5-film box set.
5 films, baby.
We get not only the shortest Final Destination film because there is no story in this movie.
No.
Before credits, it's like 75 minutes long.
Yeah.
It's an extended episode of television. 28% critic score, so it's the lowest rated. And 35 for audiences, and lowest rated.
28 might even be too high.
This movie fucking sucks. But look, I'll give it credit.
I will say that it fucking sucks, but also I very easily can watch this.
Yes. That's what I was when we were transitioning segueing between the two, I was like, it's easy to watch.
It's easy to watch.
It's just bad.
Yeah.
It's not a good movie.
No.
However, and a lot of it is the insufferable characters. This is the most insufferable group you will spend time with. But I enjoy watching fuckwits die.
Yeah.
There is a racist guy at NASCAR. Wow, what a stretch. Who openly racially vilifies a black security guard, and watching him die was incredibly satisfying.
Yeah,
and he's got that shrill girlfriend too, who gets her head eviscerated by a tire, at the end of.
Oh no, that's the mechanic.
That is the mechanic. Sorry,
the racist wife gets cut in half, but you don't see that in the initial.
The mechanic, the girlfriend's alright.
The mechanic's kind of a douche.
Watching fuckwits eyes.
The lead character Nick, played by Bobby Campo, he's just bland.
Super. The friendships.
The friendship don't
the two other friends are just
the only interesting person in the group is Hunt, played by Nick Zano, but he's a fuckwit.
Yes,
he's a douchebag, but he plays douchebag really well. He's the only one that actually has a bit of energy.
Yes,
in a group that are just wait. You saw another premonition? Tell me, Nick. You're all right.
It's a bland fucking movie with a bland story. With the 3D comes a lot of CGI death and a lot of CGI blood.
Did you ever watch this in 3D?
No, I didn't. No.
Yeah, I've seen it in 3D.
Was it worth it?
It was what a 3D movie.
It's exactly what you would.
But when you watch this in 2D, you're like,
oh yeah, it's noticeably bad.
It's bad
that way. So, but the opening scene in this is a massive NASCAR scene where another car accident happens, which again, the lead up to it's fine, but then I feel like the execution, for lack of a better word, of the deaths is really underwhelming for the build up.
Oh yeah.
I did laugh though, because there's a scene where they're sitting down. And then they go, oh, is it safe to sit this close? Which is a fair question.
It's a fair question.
He's like, there's a fence. There's a fence right there. It's like a chain link fence. And it's not protecting
And you're also
anyone.
things can go over the fence.
Which we see
I think
much so.
The two things in the opening that, actually there are 3 things in the opening that make me giggle and cringe and enjoy.
Right.
So one thing is when Nick Zano Hunt is saying he loves going to NASCAR because he wants to see a crash.
Destruction. Yeah.
And Janet, who is his ex-girlfriend, I guess, but she's friends with the main group.
Yeah.
She says, "You're sick, Hunt." And because
funny.
when she says it, it sounds like she's saying you're a cunt.
You're a sick cunt.
Yeah.
Which in Australia is actually a term.
You'd be like,
to be honest.
Yeah. The thing,
America,
so that kind of makes
offensive.
That kind of makes me laugh.
That is giggle worthy. Yeah, I would agree.
The thing that I think is actually kind of cool in the opening, even though it looks kind of terrible because of the CGI.
Yeah.
But Krista Allen, who plays Samantha / the MILF. She's literally credited as the MILF. And she's very attractive.
Very.
And if you don't know who she is,
cunt kids.
She is the woman in Liar Liar who Jim Carrey fawns over in the elevator.
In the elevator scene, yes, of course. Yeah.
So when she dies in the premonition, she's trying to run up the steps. She trips, falls over. Everyone tramples on her. And that's kind of terrible. And then she turns around and a fucking engine just blasts into it. And I was like, it's a cool shot.
It's a good shot. No,
Yeah.
I would agree. And it's not saying that all the deaths in the premonition sucked, just for the cool build up.
Yeah.
And the fact that it was cars, like it wasn't.
Yeah,
a lot of
there
CGI.
could have been something.
It could have been much better, for sure.
And then the thing that is actually like awful, like effects wise, is when Hunt and Janet get crushed by the thing.
Yeah.
They literally, it just looks like it's fucking awful the way it's done.
It's like when Wile E. Coyote gets crushed by the anvil and he's like a 2D.
Like you see them.
That's probably the best way to describe this movie. It's like the Looney Tunes version of Final Destination.
Yeah, actually.
It's very silly. Very
it's
cartoonish.
really awfully created
Whereas
shots.
the other movies are nasty, there's still that fun to it. This one is just silly. Too silly.
Yeah.
For its own
Like
good.
you're almost like, are you like, I don't care about any of these people.
No.
Like,
not at all.
You're almost just like, can death hurry up?
Yeah, to fucking
Because some of the build up to all these things, like I don't know. But for you, is there a best set piece for you?
Not really.
No.
This one, I really struggled with this one to find a best one. Because another issue with the film is that the whole final act is all premonition fake outs.
Yeah.
That's what sucked most, is that someone dies, boom, premonition. Someone dies, boom, it's another premonition. Like he's just having like a seizure of premonitions.
Yeah.
The one that I did that affected me, and I would hate for it to happen, but there is one more that I would hate more to happen to me.
Yeah.
Which I think we both would agree with.
The one that we would hate to have
Had to happen.
us,
But my favorite, which ends up being a premonition one, because it's one where genuinely feels like there's some threat going into it, is the escalator crushing.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't remember who the character is, but she escalator steps break, and in the gears below, it's very slow and then it's tense, and I like the way the tension is built up, and she gets crushed and like sort of meat grinded into it. Also hilarious that her foot gets grinded and then blood immediately splurts out of her mouth before getting anywhere near her torso or her head. So it's almost like her toenail gets touched by it and she's like blood coming out. It's very funny.
And it was quite funny that Nick and I both commented on that like separately, and we both we were like, oh, it is actually ridiculous that's
stupid.
what happened.
But at least the build up
and
to
then,
that kill and like the idea of that being the danger, I was like, that's genuinely
awful.
good
And then the fact that afterwards you
terrifying.
just see this big wet meat, bloody
and the sound.
It's so gross.
It's gross. Do you have a favorite one before we go to the
I kind of like the set piece around the MILF.
Oh, at the hairdresser?
Because it really...
Before you say that.
Oh, that was such an aggressive point.
As someone who's worked in retail...
No, I know exactly what you mean.
Respect the closing time of establishments.
You know what? Yes.
She walks in
at like 5:55,
and they're like, "We close at 6." It's like, "Oh, can I get like a full fucking haircut?"
Yeah, that
please?
fucked me off.
Oh, I could not wait. The build up to the death scene, I was like, "Oh, I hope it's nasty," because you walked in, the MILF has walked in and gone, "I need a full." And this is not me generalizing. I'm basing this off Rhiannon's haircuts. She can be gone.
Those things take a long time.
She can be gone for 2.5 to 3 hours at a time.
Yeah. No, I remember. Yeah,
the lady does it. She's miffed about it.
Yeah.
But she does it, and I spent that whole scene going, "You've come in 5 minutes before they close. I fucking hope your death is good."
Yeah.
It's not.
It's not. No, yeah.
But the build up to it is very fun.
I 100% agree, because I'm like, as someone who's works in retail, you'd be like, I don't care. You come in at 5 minutes early. Sure. Walk around for 5 minutes. You are fucking out the door when I say we're closed, you're fucking closed. Unless you're like, give me a few minutes and I'll be like, all right, I'll do it for
Make it worth our while.
Make it worth it.
100%.
So that pissed me off. The other thing is when she comes in and she's like, oh, you know, the kids' soccer game ran late, and you're like, that's not my fucking problem.
Yeah.
Then she says, like, look how awful I look. You don't look awful.
In fact, you're the MILF.
Like, you're really hot. Then I was also, it kind of was one of those things that dawned on me late. So it's, like, I know that in different areas of the world, it stays light. But okay. She comes in at 6 o'clock and it's light outside.
Yeah.
That's not
abnormal.
That's not abnormal, but it's also not super normal.
No, like the sun's going down at that point, right?
She would have been in the chair. You're getting at least. She's doing like
Let's
they
say,
practically they finish her haircuts.
Yeah, let's say a minimum
Of an hour and a half. It should be dark outside.
It should be,
but it's
no.
not.
And the same man is still
It's
mowing.
still
the same
mowing the
small
lawn,
patch of
right? So you take all of that aside,
Yeah.
but the build up to her death is quite cool because every little thing, she's getting her nails done, and you're like, oh, the scraping. They're
cutting her hair, so
they're cutting her. They're right near her ear, right near her eyes and
There's
ears.
a rickety fan.
The
at the
fan
top.
is falling, like the chair. It's you're like, ooh, and you're like, what's going to
I'll
happen
admit as
to
well,
her?
The sound design is incredible.
And you're like, what's going to happen to her? The fan does fall. It misses her, and then
that's a good fake.
it's a good fake
Joe. I
out.
like
So
that.
you sort of think, fake out, fuck yeah,
Yeah.
now we're going to get something.
Totally.
And I think and then and then she walks, and the kids like make more mess and stuff.
fucking kids.
And then she's like, she's basically like, I'm done with you. Get in the car. And then I hate the line because it's like it's too on the nose.
Yeah.
But so beforehand, they were throwing pebbles near the lawnmower, and then she's like, "Come on, you tutu, I've got my eye on you." Turns around, the lawnmower goes over the rock, shoots it out, goes through her hair, goes through her eye, out the back of her head. She dies. Like
the build-up
is better than the payoff, and I hate the line of "I got my eye
on you," and because there's already been an eye death
in Final Destination 2.
Feels cheap.
Which was much better executed.
Feels cheap. So,
how would you, how would you have ended that death scene if you could? Because me being creepy as a kid watching Final Destination, I created Final Destination
let me
deaths.
hear yours, and I'll see if.
Well, I didn't create it for this. I created just like another one entirely.
Oh, right. Yeah.
But mine was person. This is going to make me sound really morbid, but as a teenager thinking of horror movies.
Yeah. Oh, I think we spoke about this.
But like, person driving.
Yep.
The automatic beam on the car.
Yeah.
Comes down on the car.
Yeah.
Impaled, but misses them.
Yep.
They can't get out of the car because they're tightened in.
They're trapped in.
So they go, all right, and they try to go out the
sunroof.
The sunroof.
Yep.
As they're getting out of the sunroof, a car accident in front of them with a car that has big panes of glass.
Nice.
Car accident, pane of glass shoots out completely, just like
as they come out of the sunroof.
And I was like, that was something I thought. I was like,
I mean, that kind of almost. There's a similar one in the one coming up, I guess. So, but yeah, with the Final Destination.
Yeah.
The ending fucking sucks.
Yeah,
and it's another pet peeve. They're talking through a movie.
Oh my god!
They're not even whispering. They're
really
yapping.
loud. And no one says anything.
No one says anything, and they're also not wearing their 3D glasses.
And another thing, fuck this movie.
Yeah.
They say we're gonna go see Lovelace Dying.
Yes.
And he's like, I don't want to see that. It sounds like a chick flick. In the movie, there's fucking explosions.
explosion.
And you know what movie they use?
What?
The Long Kiss Goodnight.
Love that movie. Love Gina Davis.
Yeah, at the end of
Love
it
Samuel
says
Jackson.
footage from Long Kiss Goodnight. And I was like, it's the explosion in Lovelace Dying.
Wow.
An apparent chick flick. That's not a chick flick.
No.
Oh.
They don't know what the fuck they're on.
And then another massive pet peeve of mine at the end of this movie, when they've survived the fucking shop explosion because he saves them.
Yes.
Which again, massive cop out.
Huge cop out.
They're all getting like coffee.
Yes.
And he's like, I got my caramel macchiato whip thing. And he's like, it tastes disgusting. I'm like, mate, that would taste incredible.
Yeah, I mean, like,
it's a big frappe.
But this is the funny thing where it's.
I know, that's just me being someone who likes sweet drinks.
No, but he's like, I've got a new lease on life. I'm going to have this quirky drink.
And also, like,
shut up,
and be like, dude, it's pretty gay of you to do that.
I have a new lease on life. I'm gay now.
And on that side of things, I'd be like, hey, Bobby Campo, Nick, like, let's go. I can give, I'll fucking give you a new lease on life. You thought you saw death? I'll make you see God, mate. Fuck.
Different sorts of explosions happening at the end of this.
Talk about a Final Destination. Hey.
Fuck.
Anyway, but yeah, it's a shit movie.
It's a shit movie. It's the worst one. In the
but we'll say the death that we would hate.
Oh, the death we would hate. Yeah, which is the best scene in the film.
Yeah. I do like that it's you don't know who's
What
going to
is-
die
what- yes,
because
yeah,
it's
in that
split
moment.
between
'Cause it's a-
Janet and Hunt, who both basically died at the same time,
Very much so, yes.
and Nick, he's having the premonitions all the time.
Yeah.
He sees water.
yes,
Sorry,
he does, that's
or
right. yeah.
water.
Water.
So he goes, okay, Nick or Janet, we've both got to save them. So
Yes.
I'll go after Hunt. Sorry, I'll go after Hunt. You go after Janet. And water is involved in both of their.
Yes, their premonitions. Yeah.
Janet is thankfully saved.
Yes.
Her death would have been awful.
It would have been terrible.
Getting, like,
but
fucking
the ripped into the,
but they save her.
filter
They
thing,
do
yeah.
not save Hunt. And Hunt's death scene is excruciating.
So this would suck because similar to what the similar to the
that laugh makes sense when you know how Hunt dies.
similar to the suffocation in the hospital where
Yeah.
the air is stopped getting put into you, I guess, for
Yeah,
lack of a better
yeah.
way of phrasing that. What would happen if
Don't you
it
hate
was
it when
all
air
getting-
doesn't get into
Do you,
you?
you know that thing called breathing?
Yeah. Do you hate when air doesn't get into you?
Imagine being stuck at the bottom of a pool. So not only are you drowning,
Yeah.
but the filter and the suction jet at the bottom is perfectly aligned to your asshole. And you're sitting on the suction
say,
jet, and you know, for 10 seconds you might go, ooh.
Like we'll say, for context,
Sorry, yes.
he gets shot. I do love his interaction with the kid in the
Yes, no,
pool
I do as
because
well,
he's like, "Give me the gun." No.
Actually, yeah, that's,
And he's like,
it is funny.
"Give me the kid."
is
No.
very- it is very-
So he pushes it. So he pops the kid's floaty.
Yes,
And I was
yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
"That's funny."
That's funny. Yeah.
Takes the kid's squirt gun, puts the squirt gun on like the top of
Yeah,
of
but the
the
kid can't
drain
reach it,
of the
yeah.
drain apparatus.
Yeah,
which
like
then pushes it to go to suction.
Yes.
And it sucks out like the filter from the bottom of
Yes,
the pool.
yeah.
So eventually the pool would like
It would empty, right?
Yeah.
It would, the whirlpool empty.
he
Sure.
drops his lucky coin,
Yes.
jumps into the pool to
get
get it, and he gets right to the bottom and
The
gets
suction
sucked.
is enough to hold him down.
down.
So he's drowning.
It also is like one of those things where I feel like there's no way no one in that pool would have seen it.
No, but again, that's
But,
why
like,
this
that's
movie
fine.
sucks,
That's-
to be
yeah.
honest. That's another reason why. This movie-
But yeah, he's at the bottom of the pool, his asshole attached to a drain, getting
There's literally
gradually sucked
literally
out.
no other way to put it. And then the pressure's building up so much that it's my fucking clenched fist. It's building up so much that the drainage apparatus is starting to freak out,
Because
and
it's like
shake and
it's
stuff.
like, where's all my water?
He can't swim back up, so he's drowning. But then it starts like his body starts like going.
Oh, it's that shot of his you see like the
Abdomen,
of it just
sort
going
of ribs imploding on itself, insinuating before we see the money shot, for lack of a better word,
Yeah.
insinuating that his insides have
getting-
been sucked out of his asshole into the pool system, and then the suction is that powerful that it fucking jettisons it out of the filter, and blood and I'm assuming shit flies everywhere,
and
in a stream of it's
an
like the oil
appendix-
scenes in Giant.
an like appendix or a kidney or a liver
Yeah,
or
there's
something.
some organ flies out,
Yeah.
but like you think of great cinema like James Dean and Giant, and the way the oil fucking explodes out of the ground. We got that in The Final Destination with someone's shit and blood just straight from their asshole.
A small part of me is disappointed
Yes.
that scene wasn't more gory.
Sure, no, I
Like it kind of would have been cool to like maybe see like just this empty like flapping skin of a body.
no, I get.
I don't
that.
know.
I get that.
Like I don't know. I feel like this movie's going that fucking over the top anyway.
it's commit to the bit.
Commit
right?
to the bit.
So, but that is definitely one.
But
I
yeah,
would
because you're
not
like you're
to
not
happen
yet
to me
because you're
before.
drowning and your insides are being ripped out of your asshole.
Pretty much.
Like you know,
not
who hasn't been there, right?
not a fun time.
Yeah.
So but that's what I would hate. And then that brings us to Final Destination 5.
Which
The final destination of that time
of that
until
time,
2025.
2011, yeah.
Which
We will say feels remarkably back to being a film.
this is, as Harry would say, it's a movie
movie.
because it feels like a movie. good story, decent acting, great kills, all for in the context of a Final Destination. Love it.
Yeah.
One of the best endings of all time.
One of the best endings of all time.
One of the best twist endings of all time.
And we'll say fantastic opening credits.
So the opening credits is cool because it's like
it's going through all of the previous deaths,
but it's in a way that like so
it's taking like the thing that like
so it says like New Line Cinema presents.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
Also shout out New Line.
Yeah.
Fucking banger genre films.
Yeah.
New Line Cinema presents, and you're looking at it and you're like, oh, that doesn't look like a clear cut sort of like it's a bit jagged and not all the letters line up completely. And then all of a sudden a fucking like pipe just shatters through and you realize that it's been like letters stuck on glass panes and they're just like launching things through the glass.
So they're launching all of the things that are like the catalyst for what the death scene. So it's like
or
the
skull comes through
like
it,
like
or
the
like,
the log
log is
comes
sorry, not
through.
a pole. The log goes through.
No,
so.
there are poles at one because
I
that's
think the
that's referencing.
Is the log the last one though? It goes through.
Yeah, I think the log because they know that the log
Whoever.
is like kind of what people associate with Final Destination.
So it's very cool. It's very grungy.
It's really
I
cool.
Like it.
Yeah.
63%.
Yeah,
it's the highest
it's
rated
the only and
the only fresh.
The only fresh one.
Final
yeah.
Destination.
Yeah.
So, but we got Nicholas DeGasto
from a little film that we love called Fired Up.
Love Fired Up.
Oh my god!
that
I
movie
really
is
want to rewatch Fired Up.
It's a fucking banger of a film. It's like, doesn't hold up now.
No, not at all.
But it's fucking
funny.
Emma Bell, Miles Fisher. Again, it's like a group of like
Miles
Nicholas
Fisher,
DeGasto-
who will say is like Tom Cruise.
Oh, very much.
He
so.
looks so much
Very
like
much
Tom Cruise.
So like they're the main crew of like the up and coming actors of the time. But you got PJ Byrne,
yeah,
David Koechner. Courtney B. Vance.
Courtney B. Vance. That's a big pull.
Huge pull. And Tony Todd obviously rocking up again. In that. So
and then a few. Then it was Ellen Rowe, who is not really that well known, and who I didn't realize. So Jacqueline McInnes Wood, who plays Olivia.
Yes.
I wasn't aware. She's like she's like on like Days of Our Lives, Young and the Restless, one of those. Right. But she's like one of those like like daytime Emmy winner, like is like a really established.
Like now.
Yeah. Like like even during then, she left the show to do Final Destination 5. But she's like one of those actresses who's like got this vast TV career and has won all these like daytime Emmys that like just hasn't been a big movie star. And she's actually really good in this movie.
She is very good in this film.
Like,
I think when we say the performances are good and the story is good, I'd absolutely mean in the context of the Final Destination franchise. You're not going to watch this expecting award-worthy nominations.
But this goes back to like the same thing with 1 and 2, where they give the characters time to breathe, time for us to get to know them beyond their death scenes.
Beyond the death scenes, yes.
Like they're not here purely to be in a death scene.
Yes.
So like, and it was funny watching this movie, I clocked it at about an hour because I was watching the Final Destination and realized, shit, at an hour, it's pretty much wrapping itself up.
Yeah, for sure.
Final Destination 5, at an hour, it's like, there's still so much more to go.
There's still lots happening.
Like, it's like 100 minutes, I think.
Or
is it 90?
It's shorter than that, actually.
Is it?
It's, that's the Final Destination, sorry. Number 5.
Or 90 something?
92.
92.
So still,
okay. But it felt like at an hour, I was like, there's still like so much to go.
It does wrap up quickly.
It does wrap up quickly. I will say that.
Quickly.
Yeah. But
but not to its detriment.
But comparatively to the Final Destination, which doesn't
fucking
feel like it doesn't feel real.
No, it doesn't. It
baffles me that it's the most successful financially.
Yes, that's the craziest part. This one did very well.
This one did very well.
$40 million budget, $157 million worldwide.
Nice.
So it does very well.
Yeah.
The opening scene for this is a bridge collapse.
Yeah, I like that it went something a little bit different.
A little bit different, a little bit bigger, like big in scale.
This is a big set piece, yeah.
Comparatively to the CGI fuckfest of the Final Destination, this uses a lot of CGI, but actually pretty well.
Yeah.
It blends, because it's obviously shot on like a green screen bridge.
And this was another 3D movie.
This one was purposely shot for 3D too, not converted like a lot of films were.
Yeah.
But it utilizes CGI enough, and a lot of it is like the actors interacting with real stuff on a set that's a green screen. Yeah. So it looks kind of cool. There's still a lot of fake blood and like a body falling onto like the shitmast of a yacht is like the 3D,
moment.
Gimmick moment.
Yeah.
But what I think works better than the actual kills themselves on the bridge collapse is the tension.
Yeah.
It's super fucking tense.
Yeah.
It's great. And similar to Final Destination 1, we do get a bit of time with the characters.
We get
the
to
bus thing doesn't happen until about 10, 15 minutes.
We realize that Nicholas DeGasto's character, Sam.
I believe Sam. Yeah, sorry, yeah.
We get that, he's got this,
Sam Lawton.
he wants to be a chef.
Sorry, while we're talking about names. Miles Fisher, Peter Friedkin.
There we go.
Named after William himself.
Also, kind of great that there's a Nick and a Peter in these series.
That's very true. There we go. It was meant to be. It was meant to be for us.
But
yeah, sorry, Sam is...
but Sam is like wants to be a chef, so he's like not really committing to like this job.
Sales job that he's doing. And we hear he's not good at it.
Yeah.
Like, your sales report's shit. And
his best friend is like his manager who's like...
Got him the job.
Who's like, as your friend, like, I'm absolutely all for you chasing your dream. But he's like, but as your manager, like, I should fire you.
Yeah, totally.
But like his ex, like his girlfriend, like we don't know what's, we gather that he's told her about France and she's like, go, but like don't do it for me and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Then we get all of like the interactions of the workers, and we can tell that like PJ Byrne is like the shit stirrer.
Yeah.
And like Olivia is like, like the hot girl with like a bit of an attitude, but like also still really nice.
Really nice, yeah.
But she doesn't like Candace, who's like the girlfriend to Peter, but they shouldn't be together because she's the intern and like all that sort of stuff.
There's
and then
decent dynamics at least within this. And then David Koechner is the alcoholic boss. Well, I mean, stretch, I guess, for his performance.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's a really nice guy. I just know he's had alcohol troubles in the past.
Right.
I don't know how to segue out of that. And PJ Byrne is also in this film. And I love PJ Byrne. See the 0 to 100 episode of Babylon where we talk about this scene. Which
and
is
just
great.
every movie he's in, he just brings really good chaotic energy.
Which we definitely capitalizes on in this film for sure.
Oh, he's
But the bridge collapse happens. Sam is the hero of the day, saving lots of different people. Not in the premonition, obviously. A lot of people die, but a lot of people get off the bus with him.
Yes.
And at that point, Dust in the Wind is the iconic song from that one there. Which is great. But I do think this is like the second best opening in the franchise after the highway crash.
Yeah.
It's highway than bridge for me.
Oh, that's the other thing we'll do.
Yeah.
Rank the openings. Yeah.
So then Courtney B. Vance rocks up as the detective and he's like, I don't fucking like you, Sam. Like, you knew this was going to happen. And it's the first time we've had a police involved.
Yeah.
In the franchise.
The first film,
there's the two detectives.
He's detectives, but this is where Courtney B. Vance is actually like
he's
like, and then when a character dies, the first character dies in a very elaborate scene.
Yeah.
He's like, I know you didn't do this, Sam. But he's like, but I still know that there's something that you're not telling me.
Yes.
And then the thing that we briefly mentioned this for 1 and 2. This film brings about a really cool element to death's design and what it means to take someone's life.
Yes, because in this one it's introduced the idea that you can have someone either killing them or putting their death in your place.
Yeah.
You take what
their
remaining
lifespan
they had their lifespan that was remaining, right?
Yeah.
Which I think is very fucking cool.
Which is fun for a particular character.
Amazing payoff at the end of the film. I mean, even after the awesome reveal.
The reveal, which
we'll
talk
a bigger payoff.
Which we'll talk about
as well.
Coming up. But yeah.
But Courtney Vance is great in this. PJ Byrne's the perfect arsehole. His death scene getting ultimately impaled by acupuncture needles and then having his head smashed by Buddha, which is hilarious in my opinion. What is your favorite or the best kill in Final Destination 5? Which, this is tough because there's a lot of good ones.
There's a lot of good ones. I'll take the bridge out of it because the bridge is really cool.
Yeah.
Favorite set piece, I think, is going to be the gymnastics.
It's mine as well.
Yeah.
This is terrifying.
This is terrifying.
You think so? Not only is gymnastics a sport where there is so much room for error if you fuck it up,
which I like that Olivia brings up how she's like,
yes,
that she's like in she's like those athletes kind of put their body in
big time
in harm's way all the time. She's like, I'm surprised it didn't happen sooner. And you're like,
And you're like,
fuck,
wow,
all right.
famous last
But also
fucking
like,
words.
but you're also like, all right, well, we're all thinking it. You don't need to say it.
No.
But yeah,
So-
this scene, like
The build up.
the build up, and I remember the trailer for this movie.
Did it
And
feature this?
it featured this, and it really made you think that it was going to be like one of the things that you thought.
I'm gonna save the main bit till the end because
Yeah.
we've got potential electrocutions. We got
Yeah.
water going to a power line that is acknowledged the fact that like it shouldn't be there.
Yeah.
Connecting a fan because it's really hot in the gymnasium.
Yeah.
And there's water creeping, so you're like, oh my god, she's gonna land on the mat and get electrocuted.
Yeah.
No. The fan is also blowing the chalk
Mm-hmm.
everywhere, so you're like, oh my god, what's gonna happen with that?
Then a
Then
screw from
this
the
is where I wanna
a screw from the air conditioner
like the vent at the top
falls down
onto a balance beam.
onto a balance beam.
Screw side up.
Yep.
Because of course it's final fucking
Destination.
destination. We think Olivia's gonna fall on that.
Candace.
Candace, sorry,
Yeah,
is gonna fall on that.
Yeah.
She doesn't.
She doesn't.
So you're like, oh my God.
Her feet perfectly go on the other
Have you ever stood on a nail?
Yeah, I have.
I have to.
It's awful.
terrifying. It's so shit.
So excruciating. And especially the way that you think she might hit it because she's doing like jumps. So you're like, oh, that's going to go
slam on it.
Yeah.
She does not.
She does
and then
not.
she goes to the swinging, the two, I don't know the technical gymnastics term, but she's fucking flying between two beams.
Yeah.
Like that. Someone else jumps on the balance beam. Someone jumps on the balance beam.
The balance beam that the screw is still
still
there.
on. And she stands on it. First wins. Like, don't like that.
Yeah.
She falls off, knocks the chalk
Knocks the chalk bucket over.
into the fan.
Yep.
The fan blows the chalk into Candace
It's
as she's trying to dismount.
Yep.
It fucks up her dismount. She flies through the air, lands on her head, and her body crumples on top of her. And the snapping of the leg and the crumple of the body,
like
and
her,
the smushing.
her legs are on the side of her head
It's
when
contortionist, but
she's
she's not supposed to look like
the
that.
one, and it's like
And
you.
it's sudden. It's just like
It's yeah, and like you.
Fuck, mate.
You're like you're shocked. You kind of giggle because you're like, what the fuck
But it's
just
also
happened?
gross.
But it's gross.
It's really gross.
But then I think the one thing that kind of like alleviates the end of it is when someone's like, call 911.
Yeah, that is
And
true.
you're like,
That is very
You're
funny.
like, why?
Yeah, it's like, she dead.
like
She's dead.
Girl, she ain't coming back from that.
Yeah,
like,
we can't fix her.
It's like MacGruber. Are you okay?
Okay, guys,
you okay, guys? Are you okay?
I fucking love that.
Oh no, it's a great set piece. It's so well done.
The one I would hate to happen to me
Yeah.
is the LASIK burn into the eye.
Yeah, no, I'm the same.
That just seems so like she's getting LASIK surgery.
And LASIK surgery is something that, so apparently the idea came from, I don't know if it was like the wife of one of the writers or producers or something, but they were like, they got LASIK surgery and they were like, oh, wouldn't this be cool? And you're like, no, it wouldn't, because LASIK surgery is something that happens every day.
Every day. People
I
get
imagine
all
it
the
doesn't
time.
happen as haphazardly as
No,
this.
no,
Like a
so-
doctor's not going to go, oh, I'm just going to fucking leave the
I'm just
room.
going to leave the laser on and just head out for a second. And then the laser gets turned up to an astronomical level that burns. Do you know what's fucked about it? It's not like one of those things where it just goes through the eye. Because she's moving her eye, you see the tracks that it's making. And then she moves her face and it goes into her face. But that I hate that moment. Her death ends up being the falling out the window, right?
Yeah, because she
can't see.
Yeah, and it's also the ripping of the clamp.
Oh, the clamp on the eyelids too.
So she rips that, and then she's like, "Help me!" Like blood falling from her eye, and then because she was so stressed initially, she squeezes a teddy bear's head so tight that the eye pops off. Like ironically,
sure. Yeah.
And she then is like, "Help me! I can't see!" And she trips on the eye of the teddy bear, falls out the window, face plants into a car, falls onto the road, and then her eye falls out of her body and goes towards the screen, and then a car runs over. Are you like, oh man,
just to rub it in?
Yeah, that
I hate that one.
Yeah, I hate it. That
is that your hate?
The other, like that was the one I picked.
Yeah.
The other one I would actually hate it. The massage one because the acupuncture things go into his body.
And they're already deep in
They're already
there
deep.
that he falls on
and
it
it's
and they go
and it's when he
further.
like pulls it out and it he
Yeah,
keeps
it's
like
pulling,
it comes like it's like takes a long time for it to come out.
Ugh.
That you know, and then his head's squashed by a Buddha,
Buddha.
which is kind of funny.
But he deserves it too.
But like I think she would be in a. It's also the fear of like having to have your eye. You can't
yeah.
close it either.
No.
Yeah.
Not a fan of that.
Yeah. Not found.
We will spoil the ending of this film because
Yes.
we need to because it's baller.
Because this film, and you know what? When you rewatch it, all the signs are there.
All the signs are there. It
So
is telegraphed,
he
but
called-
it's so well done.
Olivia he's like, you look like Lisa Loeb.
Yeah.
And in 2011, you kind of like, what?
Oh, that's a weird
Lisa
reference.
Loeb in the 90s and early 2000s, everyone knew who she was. She had a massive song.
Yeah.
She was a girl with glasses. Anyway.
Yeah.
So there's that mention, but you kind of just
You
play that off because
the
you're like,
phones that they're no
the
one's
phones-
using smartphones.
but you're also like,
you're not looking
picking
for
up-
that. You know what I mean?
there's one part where he looks in a desk, PJ Byrne looks in a desk drawer, finds the massage ticket,
yeah.
pass.
The pass, yeah.
Gift certificate.
Expires, yeah.
It expires in 2000.
Yeah. So you're like, hold on.
So you're
a
like,
second.
wait, but you actually don't, when
Are
you're
you
first
using
watching
this
it,
11 you're not looking for the expiry
you're not looking
date.
for
But
it.
it's like, does it expire 11 years later?
But it's right there.
No, because those who do survive death's
And he
initial
keeps
run,
talking about going to Paris.
those
you know?
those who survive death's initial run end up on an aeroplane.
Yeah.
An aeroplane going to Paris. Flight
180.
Final Destination 5 was a
Prequel
prequel
the
all
whole
along.
time.
Holy
Which makes
shit.
and then you go, which makes sense as to why when he's figuring out what's trying to happen,
Yes.
he doesn't reference 180.
This hasn't happened yet. That's why
But
it's
again,
so good.
watching it for the first time, you're not thinking of that.
You're not waiting. You're almost like, oh, it's fresh that they're not like referencing back.
Yeah.
But this is like its own story.
Yeah.
Nah, this is before
Before.
180. And it's revealed in the best way because you kind of know they're on the flight. And you're like, hold up a second.
When they get on the flight, you're almost like you're sort of
weird.
like it's like you're taking time to go. They're on a flight and they're going
Yeah.
to Paris,
And
and
then
then
you
you hear. So then
someone-
they put in the footage of
Well, you hear someone freaking out
Yeah.
first, and then it's Nicholas DeGasto reacting to that, Sam reacting to that.
and then you
it
see the
cuts
footage
away
of them removing Devon Sauer,
from the plane, and you're like, oh, that's...
and you're like,
you know,
wait a minute, and then
that's from the first
and then
movie.
you have the flight attendant. Someone was like, "What was all that about?" And she's like, oh, "Some kid had some premonition," and you know, and you're like,
and then he goes,
"Holy
oh,
shit!"
fuck.
Then plane takes off, and you're like sitting there just going,
I know the
"Oh
plane
wow!" Like,
explodes.
and you're also like, "I know who gets off the plane, and it's not Nicholas DeCasto and
Yeah.
Emma Bell." And
and it explodes, and they die in fiery,
so
gory
he gets
fashion.
she gets
Yeah, she
sucked
gets-
out of the plane
yeah.
and then split in half
Split in
on
half
the
by
on the
the
wing.
which
Fuck.
is fucked.
And then
Which is a great ending.
great ending.
However.
And you sort of think, oh, I'm happy for I'm not happy. I'm happy for it to end on this because baller ending.
But there is a fun
there's
little
still one character left who
Fun little play.
he has an argument in the film,
Yes.
and he was about to get like basically impaled.
Yes.
And he unintentionally pushes a character into the way of the impalement.
Yes.
So he is like, holy shit.
So he skips
and
that's gross too. The
Yeah.
fucking
And he did it not knowing about this whole death design thing.
Yes. Yeah.
So then they go, wait a minute, you pushed him into the way. You've now taken his life. You're safe. And at the end of the film,
after the plane has exploded.
after the plane has exploded, and this character has no idea that this plane has exploded.
No.
He's in a bar. They're at the funeral, of the
man
guy that he killed.
Killed ultimately, yeah.
And he's like, oh,
talking
funny.
to his boss.
Funny how that happens. And then the coworker is like, it was going to
It's
happen
like, yeah,
anyway.
well, it's almost like a thing where he's like it, like not actually a terrible thing because there was a fucking huge cancer found in his guy.
And he was like, he was going to
didn't have-
drop dead any day now.
and then
And he's like, oh,
day now.
and then the wheel of the plane comes through and flattens him.
Wild.
Like,
And then bang,
and then
Final
bing,
Destination
bing,
5.
bing, and we go to Final Destination.
So much fun. Great
like,
ending.
incredible.
Really fun film.
Yeah.
Let's rank the movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's go worst to best.
Worst to best? Okay.
Worst.
4. Yeah.
What's your number 4 then?
3.
Yep, same. Your number 3. Your number. So
Yeah.
okay, we'll,
Yeah.
we'll recap it
Yeah.
again. Your number 3.
1.
Yeah, same. Okay, this is where we'll differ.
Yeah.
Your number 2,
2.
and then
5.
so then my number 2 is 5, and
Yeah.
my number 1's 2.
2, yeah.
So if you kept
can
up with
understand
that,
So
well
basically,
done.
mine is from best to worst. Mine goes Final Destination 5,
Yep.
Final Destination 2,
Yep.
Final Destination, Final Destination 3, The Final Destination.
And then mine is from best to worst. Final Destination 2, Final Destination 5, Final Destination 3, and The Final Destination.
Yeah.
Which is fair.
Yeah.
Which I think is pretty
But also, 1 to 4, in terms of that ranking, are all fun, enjoyable
totally.
films.
Yeah, like 3 is probably the one that drops off a little bit in
but
quality.
it's still
and
really fun.
4 is down.
But
at
4
the
is just
fucking
like
pits.
bleh. Yeah.
4 is down the bottom of a pool getting its guts sucked out.
But
of its
also,
arse.
do we own all 5 of these films? Absolutely.
Absolutely. And
Would
I
I-
enjoy
if-
rewatching them?
If someone was like, hey, I haven't seen Final Destination 4, would you watch it? I'd be like, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I had so much fun rewatching these.
Yeah.
I'm super excited for Bloodlines.
Very excited for Bloodlines.
Like what they're doing with the story. from what I've seen in the trailer.
I like what I think think they're going to do with this whole Bloodlines thing.
Yep.
I believe I don't want to say anything, but I just think that this is how it's going to explain premonitions. And CinemaCon
some
showed a
footage,
scene,
right?
and that scene has been detailed, and I'm like, oh, if this is apparently it's the goriest death scene of the entire series.
I'll fuck them. Yeah. I'm seated.
So I'm
fucking
and it's
seated.
happened, and I'm very interested to see about one particular character who
Okay.
I
I think you know more about this stuff than I do. I'm trying to stay away as much as I can.
but I love these films, and even if this was dog shit like 4, I'll still enjoy
We'll
it.
still have fun. So that's coming out May 15th.
Yeah,
Very excited for that.
super excited.
And then we come to the final film
Mm.
on the monthly movie marathon.
Yeah.
But we're not going out with just one episode.
No.
This franchise is so fucking big
Yep.
that we are splitting up the final monthly movie marathon film into 2 episodes.
You could say that we have accepted this mission.
And it's not going to be impossible
No.
to go through these ones because May 22, Mission Impossible, the final reckoning,
Final reckoning.
is hitting our screens.
It is.
So we're doing 2 episodes in the release to the lead up of part 1, part 2. Part 1 we'll talk about now. We're going to be watching Mission Impossible 1, 2, and 3.
Yes.
The early 2000s aspect of the franchise before it was kind of reignited.
Yeah,
and
the
rebooted with Ghost Protocol.
late 90s to the mid 2000s.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So this is going to be a fun time.
and like three separate directors,
Yep.
3 distinct styles.
Exactly.
Very much an
episodic
episodic thing before it
much
kind of
there,
picked
yeah.
up and became more of like a cohesive story.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that'll be a lot of fun.
Oh,
I'm
so excited.
to
Yeah.
talk about our boy TC and the NI franchise. So,
Love you, Tom.
but until that episode, we only have one thing to say to you, and that is
Bye.
Final Destination.